So today we're going to review simple subjects and simple predicates because it seems as though a lot of you had trouble with this on the test. The first thing that we need to think about is what is a subject and what is a predicate. And we all agreed as a class that the subject is who or what the sentence is about. We also agreed that the predicate is what the subject does. Remember how we talked about how the predicate needed to include the verb in the sentence. So we have subject as who or what the sentence is about, and we have the predicate as what the subject does. So now we need to start thinking about, well, what does the word simple mean? When you add the word simple to both of these things, it changes the meaning. A simple subject is one word, okay, that describes the simple subject, who or what the sentence is about. Now keep in mind, if it's a proper noun, it might be more than one word. For example, Mrs. Feldman is my teacher. Mrs. Feldman, obviously two words, but it's a proper noun, so they go together. The simple predicate, remember, the simple predicate is what the subject does. So what word could we use to describe that? We would use the verb. Now, keep in mind that a verb might have more than one word, okay? Run would be one word, right? But will clean would be two words, okay? So the verb could be more than one word, but the simple predicate is the verb. So remember when I talked about my grandma making a bland Thanksgiving turkey dinner? Yes, I did use a vocab word here. Okay, so what would be the simple subject? Who is doing the cooking? Who is doing the action? My grandma, right? And what does she do? What's the verb? What is she going out and doing? She's making. So the simple subject would be grandma. The simple predicate would be make. Okay, let's go down to the one on the bottom. Mrs. Feldman and her daughter have a good time at school. Okay, so we have the subject is what? Mrs. Feldman and her daughter is the whole subject, and have a good time at school is this whole predicate. So what would the simple subject be? Who's the sentence about? Mrs. Feldman, daughter, right? Remember how I said that it could be more than one word if it's more than one person or a proper name? Great. Now, what's the verb here? What's the verb? What am I doing? I'm having, okay? So simple subject, simple predicate. Okay? The simple predicate, just to review to make sure everyone totally understands, the simple predicate is the verb. Okay? Verb. So let's go over some practice problems. It says, the brown horse appeared at the starting line. So let's look for the simple subject. So let's look at sentence number 1. The brown horse appeared at the starting line. The simple subject, or who the sentence is about, is the horse, right? Let's look at number 2. The student arrived late to class because he woke up late. So who woke up late? The student. Look at number 3. John looked out the window to check the sky. And you can always make it into question. Who looked out the window to check the sky? John. Let's look at the next one. The big audience grew very restless waiting for the play to start. Who grew very restless waiting for the play to start? The answer would be the audience. Okay? Let's go 3 more. The air in the classroom smelled fresh. What smelled fresh? The air. Okay? The blue dolphin swam freely in the ocean. Who swam freely in the ocean? The dolphin. So asking myself the question using the verb is definitely helpful. The basketball team went traveling for their next tournament. Who went traveling for their next tournament? The answer would be the team, right? Oops, sorry about that. The answer would be the team, okay? Let's go to the next slide. The next slide talks about simple predicate. It says, what is the simple predicate? So we're looking for the verb, okay? Let's not forget that. We're looking for the verb. The verb in the first sentence, sang with many jazz bands. Well, what are you going to go outside and do? You're going to sing, right? So let's look at number 2. This is tricky. Now remember, we know that it has to be the verb, and we know that called is the verb, right? But if you look really closely, you'll see has been called would be the entire verb phrase. Now I know that you learned this in 4th grade. You learned about helping verbs in 4th grade. So has been called is the entire verb. Let's do the next one. He became a very famous, he became a very famous, that doesn't make sense. He became a very famous as a trumpet player. I think it should say he became very famous as a trumpet player. Let's see, nope, we can't even erase it. He became a very famous trumpet player. Okay, so what would be the simple predicate here? Would be became. Okay, number 4, people have been copying his music style for years. What's the verb? Have been copying. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do number 5. Armstrong was hired by many concert halls. Okay, the answer here would be Armstrong was hired. So was hired would be the simple predicate. Okay? Let's go to the next slide. So now that we've watched about a 4 or 5 minute video about simple subject and simple predicate, Mr. Jones and I want you to practice. The first thing that we want you to do is we want you to do the order up activity. The order up activity was explained in class on Tuesday afternoon. It's where you lay out all the cards. You start on the bottom and make your way to the top. We want you to do that first. There are 4 of them in the bin, so everyone from the group take one and start working. After you're finished with that, that should take you about a minute or 2. We want you to write 5 sentences on a piece of lined paper. Make your sentence interesting. Don't make your sentences say, I ate a cookie, I went swimming, I like pizza, I have 10 toes. Okay? Try and make them a little bit interesting. Okay? My 99-year-old great-grandmother swims 20 laps every day. That's an interesting sentence, okay? We want you to underline the simple subject, and circle the simple predicate. Circle the simple predicate. Turn it in when you're done. It should be in the language arts bin. And then you can practice with a friend, or we probably will be running out of time. Okay? Hope you enjoyed the movie.